Hello, everyone. Jenna here. I'm going to do a little introduction of myself today because I realized that I haven't done that yet because I'm a little bit shy. So my name is Jenna Boreham. I'm an intuitive channel, intuitive artist and ascension guide. And I am here today with the lovely Tim Wild. Say hi, Tim.
Hi everybody.
We are picking up with part 3 of our video series. You can check out part 1 and 2 on my YouTube channel. Now, Tim, I've forgotten the name of our video series, naturally. Can you remember what it is?
No.
No.
Let's just flow with that.
I'll put it in the comments. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it is a retrograde. We've got
oh
all
my
the
gosh,
legitimate excuses that we need in the world to forget everything. Have tech errors.
Oh gosh.
And what is it? We've got 7 planets in retrograde, or 6 planets, and a particularly powerful asteroid called Chiron or Chiron, or
right. Okay.
And so they're actually, no, I think one of the planets, I think Saturn's gone stationary, which is great. Right. It's probably why everybody's feeling a little bit like, oh, that's better. You know what I mean? But the amount of stuff we've got in retrograde at the moment, I'm surprised my Mac isn't fizzing in front of me and smoking.
Oh no, don't say that. Don't say that, Tim. Don't say that. It's all right. I'll call Merlin in. He'll sort it out.
Yeah, call Merlin in. He'll laugh.
Okay, so I think we'll start with jobs and vocation. So
jobs
as
and
we're
vocations
moving,
is a good place.
Yeah, as we're moving forward along the Ascension pathway, where are we going in terms of what we feel called to do, personally, energetically? Yeah, I'm gonna open that up to you, and then we can have a dialogue about it.
It's massive. The jobs and vocations thing has been massive since we moved through the other side of the cosmic moment gateway, because it's almost like the second we hit the 22nd of December in 2012, I was starting to pick up and perceive people suddenly waking up in the middle of their kind of like what you call that normality, that mundane reality that you feel that there is so much more outside of, and immediately diving out of it was quite funny because the original set of messages that came through after the cosmic moment where everything is going to change, but people perceived it as an overnight change. They didn't realize it was going to be like almost like this decade of turmoil and slow processing. So a lot of people dived out of their jobs and their vocations and their abilities to feed themselves and put a roof over their head without actually any forward planning, and that became non-sustainable very quickly. So what has been going on for the last 8 or 9, very much like a strong forward movement over the last 9 years, it's people like you and me waking up in the middle of working in a job which is not soul sustaining. It's simply to provide. It could be repetitive, it could be pressurized, it could be really kind of draining on all levels. And automatically, once you wake up on the ascension pathway, this is what you want to do. You begin to download the soul aspects, and you are automatically pushed towards living your soul dream. You know, like what you are here to do on the planet. So you are the magnetism towards your spiritual pathway is so strong. It's very easy to ditch all of the 3D attachments a little bit too quickly. But that was kind of post 2012. Now, what we're seeing at the moment, what's very much on the ascension table for people as you are listening to this now, is the process where those old 3D jobs are beginning to fall away, and it's happening as a result of what's going on around the world. Like you're seeing, if you watch social media or you see on YouTube, literally thousands of people are migrating out of their old jobs because they're being forced to because I'm not going to mention the word, but certain mandates, all of this. And also the changes that occurred when the planet locked down at the beginning of 2020, people's roles are changing. And those that are on the spiritual pathway are now sometimes being kind of catapulted into this role by natural circumstances, not by choice. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So the whole soul pathway, the whole 3D, 5D job is becoming more defined. We're beginning to find that people are automatically put into their 5D roles now, quite often, whether they before they're ready to do so.
Yeah.
So it's a big change. There's a big structural change going on at the moment regarding work, regarding roles, regarding what we're here to do on this planet. It's a very interesting time.
Yeah, I think personally, I found that energetically, it was kind of it's kind of like outgrowing a pair of jeans almost. Like energetically, you just don't fit there anymore. Actually, I think I'm going to change that analogy. It's more like as you're a growing child, you grow out of your clothes. So there's no way that you can slim back down to kind of get back in there. You're just too big now.
You can't re-child again.
No, you can't. And I think so many people are going through that phase now. It's getting harder with every day, every week that passes, that they're trying to force themselves into a situation that doesn't necessarily fit. So I think, like you said, there are people who are being catapulted out, but then there are people who are kind of being squeezed a little bit out. But I think I wanted to talk about the fluid dynamic of the light worker, and how you may feel that you exit, a profession that you have now currently, that you may have worked many, many years within, acquired lots and lots of skills. But I think there may come a time in the future where you go back into a similar role with those skills, but the environment in which you're working within has changed. It's lit up, it's a fifth dimensional environment where your skills are very much needed. So I think it's really important not to put ourselves in a box, not to, not to say, okay, well, I'm going to quit my job, I'm a healer now, that's who I am, and attach to that identity, and not be ready to change. I think that's the thing. So I did some channeling with Merlin for this, and naturally didn't print it. So I'm trying to remember bits and pieces of what he said, but he said, variety is the spice of life, and you have to be prepared for things to change just like that. Yeah. And he also said that there has never been a point where you haven't at least subconsciously known what your mission is. So
no, everybody knows on a soul, on a subconscious level what we're here to do. That's why the drive is so strong.
Yeah. So
but a lot of people are following that drive without kind of thinking about the physical implications of it.
Yeah. But he's kind of saying those skills, that if you were directed into a certain profession, for example, if you're a doctor, those skills that you've acquired, you wanted to do that for a reason, a sole reason. And even if you come out right now, later down the line, like I said, as we're rebuilding the fifth dimensional society, you can jump back in, because your skills will be needed. So it's about being flexible. It's about non-attachment and just going with the flow, which I know everyone struggles with, because we've been so programmed to kind of need the safety, to need to know, what we're doing when we're doing it.
Such an important point, Jenna, that this is exactly where people are at the moment. This is happening globally around the world. Is the fact that even if you walk away from, if you're a doctor and you walk away today, it doesn't, and you hand your papers and you get struck off the list, you will always be a doctor. You will always have that set of skills. You will always have that manner. You will always have that training. Nothing's going to take that away from you. But what you can do is you can enrich that by putting it into a 5D environment.
I just got goosebumps.
And it's the same with all of the other trades. And this is the flow of our where we're going. This is where the river is taking us, because around the world there is global change, and then we can't ignore it anymore. We know it's happening. It's like a wildfire spreading, and people, I'm seeing so many just people walking away from what they were doing previously, because the current structure is no longer allowing them to live freely. And so they're going to take those skills and those trades and employ them into another environment, just because the society no longer labels them as that person in that 3D structure, does not mean that those people stop being that. That's their training. That's what that's their gifts. That's what they've allowed themselves to do. And a lot of this is going to be integrated into the coming months and years as we reform, because that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to reform. We're going to have to adapt and evolve beyond the constrictions of what is currently being placed on 3D societies.
Yeah, it comes back to that word alchemy again, doesn't it?
Alchemy, of course.
Alchemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Yeah, the evolvement of it's a liquid flow. What I'm seeing very much at the moment, it's a liquid flow of movement. And if you think about the 20-year period that we've got to do this jump shift in from 2012 to 2032, we're pretty much entering the final year of the first half now. So we've done the groundwork, we've done the preparation, we've done the personal clearing, we've done the personal wake ups, all of the energy is put in place, and now we've got to start the house move.
Yeah.
This is what's happening at the moment, the moving house. We're getting all the gear together and we're shifting. And so what do you do when you move house? You leave all the crap behind that you don't want to take with you. You put all the special stuff in a box and you take it and you begin to unpack it at the other end. It's where we are.
Yeah,
right in the middle.
Yeah, and very much of that that thought that we are moving into a new phase where it's about inner mastery and alchemy. What can we do with the the dark stuff that's sort of everywhere? We can turn it into gold. It's just about
exactly
mastery. That's why we're here.
Completely.
Mastery.
It's so, I mean, just for just a special word for people out there at the moment who might be worried about the sanctity of their work, their trade, their jobs. You might be listening to this and you might be one of the people that are being affected by the circumstances that are being applied around the planet. Everything is happening for a reason. Like if once you put yourself in the flow of the universe, once you trust that you are being put into the right direction, once you've decided to stand in your sovereignty, you will always be in flow. You will always be looked after. So where we're going, there will be support. There will be a necessity for absolutely every single person and their set of skills. That's the way we are going to be operating.
Yeah, we touched upon this a little bit in the last video, I think. The idea of what we are a vibrational match to. So obviously, if we don't do something about it ourselves, then the universe comes in and it does it for us. So, you may be a person within an industry and, you feel the push to leave for whatever reason, some reasons more obvious than others. But that's because you're not meant to be there anymore. You don't fit there anymore. So it's time to go. But there will come a time when you will find your place again.
Very much so.
In
very much so.
A vibrational match.
Yeah.
To the new earth. And I think that kind of is a nice little cue for the next topic. So community, the community Goldprint. We can maybe touch upon that a little bit. Go for it.
Community Goldprint was what we were working with last night in the 1010 workshop, is the fact that building work is underway. Okay, if you look at the higher structures, if you look at what's going on around this planet, if you look at it on a 3D level, it looks very destructive. It looks like chaos. 3D world is in chaos. Everything's being clamped down. The economy appears to be crashing. People appear to be losing their jobs. Everything appears to be becoming very draconian, and it is causing a fluid migration. It's causing people to even at an accelerated rate begin to detach from that reality, from that matrix. And what is the future Goldprint for humanity? It's called the Atlantean Community Goldprint. Okay, I don't use the word blueprint anymore. If the word Goldprint is new to you, it's the shiny version of the word blueprint. Okay, it's the 5D version. That's my friend Paul DeBrio Carey bought that through. So it's not called a blueprint anymore. It's called a Goldprint, and that's like that. So that's what we're going to call it. And so the future of 5D humankind is to work together, to be I mean, despite the fact that we all live in different towns and different cities and different countries, to have a unified field of energy from which we work, a level platform. Okay, 3D is very much haves and have-nots, and ego, fear versus love. It's a matrix of polarity where there are there's lots on one side and lots on the other, and you can make your choices, and it's down to your karma and to what you've created in your life as to how you exist within that frequency. Once you've raised your vibration to a certain level and you integrate and you commit to being part of this 5D Goldprint, things become a lot more linear. They become a lot more unified. At the moment, it looks like there is nothing there for us to go to. And that's not necessarily true. What we're doing is we're moving into this, obviously having a lot of faith and trust in the universe, but we're doing it as a unified group with a collective intention to build a better. And I'm going to quote the same quote that you hear in politics around the world, because they're using like an inverted mirror version of what we are. Build back better. You'll hear this in the UK. Yeah. And of course, it's a word that's spoken from politicians that just sounds hollow, because it doesn't actually mean that in any way, shape or form. But what we're doing when we build and integrate this Atlantean Community Goldprint, it works for everybody. It works for the land, it works for the people, it works for the animals, it works for everybody here, because we are working from the heart rather than from the ego. There's going to be a little bit of transitional chaos as we move out, because everybody knows that when you're moving house, it's sometimes you've got to choose what you take with you. Sometimes you've got to leave stuff behind that you thought that you could take, but you can't because you haven't got room, or you can't carry it. That is going on at the moment. But the future of our planet is very much unified, but maybe not kind of unified in the pre-conceptual way that people have got of us all being in this huge community. It will just be very much more supportive of and more inclusive of who we are than it is at the moment. And we can all feel that. We're all moving towards it. And that has become a natural instinct that's become ingrained in us, even though we didn't know it was developing. It's something that we're all going to have to work on. It's all, but it requires unified focus. Despite the fact that we're all different, we've all got different versions of reality. We're all being guided by the same heart process, which is very unified. Yeah. So it's an interesting movement. It's an interesting flow of energy.
Yeah. I think the thing that is striking me the most is when I think of the 3D and the dynamics between individuals and communities, it's so separatist. There is a lot of lack and fear within society, because of resources and safety, all these different things. And we do tend to put barriers up between ourselves and others. And this is very evident within, the physical built environment as well. And I think as sensitive people, as intuitive people, we also feel that we want to retreat. I know I do quite often. I might put myself out there see a few people, and then I will feel like I want to come back. I want to, be on my own, regroup, recharge, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm an empath and I'm feeling everything as I'm, living my life. But more recently, as more and more soul family come in, all of these wonderful relationships, wonderful people that come into your life, you don't feel that so much. You don't feel like you want to, retreat. No. If anything, I think you are uplifted by these people and you want to spend your time with them. I'm seeing in my mind, I'm seeing everybody's hearts kind of connecting together as you're spending time with each other. It's not a draining thing. So in my mind, I'm now seeing it's like a scene out of the Matrix. Everybody kind of just sat there with these machines attached to them, just having their energy drained. It can be a little bit like that if you're not careful. But I think the community that I'm seeing as we're going forward is more inclusive, and you want to spend time with people.
Absolutely.
Be, in situations where you can come together, and it doesn't involve going to the pub. It doesn't involve, doing all of these big venue kind of activities that a lot of people are being forced out of anyway. But then that comes back to the vibrational match thing that we were talking about. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on that, how we will move forward, but also how that will change different industries. So for example, like the built environment. So that would be my background as an architectural designer and urban designer. And how even just like looking at an office building, how much that enforces certain energies and subconscious cues onto people. It's like a box. So my academic research is looking at this. It's looking at the cues that are all around us all of the time that we are subconsciously taking in about our environment, and how it's so logical side of the brain, we're putting ourselves in all of these boxes constantly. Totally. So many boxes, to the point that these boxes are making us mentally ill. And then there comes, the awakening and the dark night of the soul, and then we move forwards from the boxes. I just find it really fascinating. And I think as we move forwards into 5D communities, a lot of these boxes are going to change. A lot of the architecture around us is going to change. We will live in a more dynamic, creative environment, something that is conducive for self-expression and for creating ideas, and, all of these things that we will feel called to do as we move forward. And I just wanted to touch on that, because I think so many people, everybody, I didn't even think about this until recently. As we walk outside our door, we have all of these structures and ideas and paradigms all around us that are infiltrating our subconscious, and they are programming us, just like the politicians or what you see on the television. It's all programming, and it's there. It's coming from the minds of architects, putting us in boxes.
It's 3D reality, and the buildings and the structures as they stand at the moment are the perfect reflection of basically the restrictions.
Yes, they are.
That were created within the matrix. If you look at how architecture existed during the Atlantean times, most of the stuff was round. Okay, we'd had pyramids as power sources, but the buildings, the living accommodations were round. Everything flowed. The whole place was designed to flow, and everything was very elegant and very beautiful. It wasn't boxy. It wasn't structured. It wasn't like today's kind of that manufactured society, which feels imprisoning. And it's designed to lower your frequency or keep you within that particular field of energy. The people that design things, if you look at the old buildings, like say the Houses of Parliament, they're very cleverly built. They're very cleverly built to harness and anchor certain types of energy. That again, it's alchemy, but it's alchemy for the wrong reasons. Now, earlier at the beginning of this particular segment, you described perfectly how it feels for a light worker to engage in 3D and engage in 5D, how draining 3D is for us, because we are not designed to exist in that bandwidth of energy. And so we have to retreat and regenerate. We have to clean our energies. We have to make sure that we're unhooked from people that may have linked in and borrowed our light, whether we've handed it over, willingly, or whether it's been taken because, we're not kind of up to speed on our energy dynamics. And that will slowly, that will phase out. It's phasing out now. Like you say, when you are with people on your vibrational match, there is no such thing as an energy drain. You are supportive of each other.
Yeah.
At the moment, a lot of the interactions between us, you do leave them feeling like you've had all your light taken, or you feel like you've walked away with 1,000 people's burdens upon your shoulders, because you've been in a crowded space where lots of people are wearing all of their stuff and they don't even know that they're doing it. And these energy fields, they shed constantly. So you walk away just carrying it all, because that before 2012, that was an actual soul agreement that we had as light workers. We had the agreement to clear the people around us simply as an act of service. It was a good way of ditching karma. It was a good way of clearing the karmic scoreboard. So we did it as soul service. But after 2012, we no longer had to do that, but we're still kind of tuned into doing it, just simply because it's what we've been programmed to do for so many hundreds of years. And now we are finding these soul families. Now we're finding people who light us up rather than drain our energies, and things that light us up rather than drain our energy, and all these different activities. It's a great way to go.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think when you do meet these people and you interact with them, it's so activating. You know, like I said to you a few weeks ago, it's like being activated the hell out of, because you're helping each other grow just by being in the presence of one another. It's amazing.
Absolutely. It's exactly how it works. We trigger, we remember, we activate. And, the majority of people on your soul pathway, the people that you're meeting now, are people that you've served with before. You've actually sat around the pre-life agreement table and actually had a conversation. So, I'll meet you at this certain time and we'll trigger each other, sort of thing. and all of this will come in. And it's a very powerful process. It's a very powerful process, because flashes of those lifetimes will come back. And quite often that might be to finalize pre-life, previous incarnations, agreements, or things that might have gone down and occurred at that particular time. But those are all coming up very, very quickly for clearance now. Before, it was quite a laborious process clearing this stuff. Now it's kind of, it's done and gone in a jiffy once it's been acknowledged, which is great, because it means we're a lot freer to move at the speed that we need to.
Yeah, I think this takes us actually quite nicely into health, because I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So I think a lot of people will have heard of people such as Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton, who obviously are discussing the effect that our thoughts and intentions, emotions, feelings, the environment has upon our health. And obviously health is it should be a big topic, considering what we've all experienced over the past 18 months. So I'm of the belief that the environment is playing such a big factor on our health. So the amount of stress that we are continually placed under, the amount of fear, which is also stress, and how that impacts upon our immune system. Moving forward, I feel that we are going to naturally experience improved health. Because I think a lot of health conditions also have been soul contracted for various reasons. Not only are they to do with, the environment and things that are happening now, but as we progress, as we move down the ascension pathway, as our vibration increases, as we are surrounded by structures, by institutions, by community, by support, and we have love around us, then I think naturally we will see an improvement in our health. I also feel that, having a higher vibrational vessel will mean that we only want to put higher vibrational fuel into our body. So whether that is information or whether that is food. I don't think food is going to go out the window, because I think that's one of the luxuries we have in a 3D body, you know, to enjoy food. But I think, yeah, naturally moving forward, I think it will change, which means health systems will change, how we are cared for will change. The people in those positions of care will care, you know, they will care. Yeah. It won't be about profit. It will be about love, and it will be about genuine healing. So I just wanted to sort of touch upon that and maybe talk about how the mechanism perhaps of healing might evolve. So I did do some channeling, and Merlin said, you know, you will use hand and you will use machine. So, you know, I think there will be big movements towards vibrational medicine. So sound and light. But I think we will also have access to technology, technology that is probably underway right now. We're not aware of a few things we might be aware of.
The blueprint for the technology, or the gold print for the technology, is literally at our fingertips, pluckable from the field. But one thing that has always been made very plain from the start of this process onwards is that human souls on this ascension pathway have to have come to the realization about what it is actually to have a physical vessel and the responsibility for it before that technology is given back again. Everything that we used in Golden Atlantis, in the temples of healing and the temple of sound, will be available in the future. This is what the gold print is for, so that we have all of this stuff to actually build our future society with. But at the moment, human beings in 3D have been taught not to take responsibility for themselves. That's why the 3D world is so unhealthy. That's why the decline of physical health all around the globe at the moment, and has been going on for like decades, has begun to accelerate, because more and more things in the environment have become toxic. The stress levels, the medicines, the food, the everything, all of the input is designed to lower the vibration of the human body, so that the human body is no longer a suitable house for the high frequency vessel, the soul. And this is what this whole agenda is about, to kind of lock down 3D into this very controllable format. Of course, we're all breaking out of that. We've disattached from the matrix, and we want no more to do with it. But there is a big kind of grey area where people still are learning how to take responsibility for that physical vessel. What do you put in your body? What do you put in your mind? What do you put in your soul? But people are learning fast on their feet. What you put in your body will either accept it or it will reject it. The body is guiding now. Once you've put the body into a higher frequency energy, it will guide you very strictly as to what you can and you can't do. There's no ifs or buts about it. There's no kind of, oh, well, I think I can get away with it. For instance, if I drink coffee now, it sends me off on a loop. And I was going on for nearly, I think it was 5 or 6 years, I was being told by Archangel Metatron not to drink coffee anymore. I was like, no, I'm going to drink coffee. I like coffee.
I have the same problem.
And all of a sudden it got to the point where the physical reaction to that became so severe that I wouldn't even bother. You know what I mean? I had my warnings, I got my talkings to, and I ignored it. And all of a sudden it was like, right, okay, if I drink that, I'm going to have a really bad day. And this is happening across the spectrum. It's happening to medicines. It's happening with things like alcohol. It's happening to particularly with social media input, as we grow higher and brighter and finer, the input that we receive from the screens in front of us is becoming very defined as well, what we can and we can't engage with. And you can go from something that raises your vibration to something that drops your vibration in a split second, but you will know what that is. So people are now taking responsibility, because there's actually no choice in the matter. It's like, once you've committed to this higher frequency body, this higher frequency vessel, you will be guided by your physicality as to what you can and you can't do.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. A similar thing happened with me, not with coffee.
Yeah.
I'm still hanging on to that one, Tim.
I'd love a cup now. I'm talking about it. So, oh, I'd love a cup of coffee.
Yeah, it was just more other food groups. I couldn't eat them anymore. They just
No.
started to just be like, oh no, repulsive. I don't want that, and my body would reject them. So I think that is, like you say, it's a natural progression. Our body knows what it needs, and that will be different for everybody. It won't be the same.
It's quite an important one at the moment, because a lot of people feel that they have to adhere to what they would regard as a spiritual diet.
But then you're in resistance, aren't you? If you don't actually, really connect with that, you're in resistance, you're in pain, you don't want it. So that's just pointless. You might as well just have what you want to have and bless it, be thankful for it.
Yeah.
See it doing good in your body, have it in moderation.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point, actually. Blessing everything that you put in your body is a massive, massive thing. Bless the water, bless the food, bless the medicines if you have to take it. Obviously, there's still people who are making this transition from 3D to 5D who have got to use things for their bodies which are supporting them. And you can't immediately say, oh, I'm going to 5D, I'm going to drop everything that I regard as 3D. And work, because the learning to heal ourselves is an ongoing process. The technology is available, the knowledge is available, the frequencies are available, but we've got to adapt.
Yes. So. This self-healing thing, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about it. Okay, so Joe Dispenza talks about self-healing and how obviously he healed himself. If you know his story, it's amazing. Yeah. I went through a similar situation. So this was one of my initiations as I woke up and started along the Ascension pathway. So I had ME very severely as a teenager and into my 20s. And when it was really bad, I couldn't walk, couldn't talk, I couldn't feed myself. I was just a complete and utter mess. And then I came across, well, I didn't come across, I was given some information by a friend who woke me up. That's a different story. About, how I could heal my own body. This is complete autonomy. This is taking control of my situation after I'd been told by countless professionals that I wasn't going to heal, that I wasn't going to get better. And I think self-healing is it's a thing, it's doable, you can do it. But you need to have the right conditions around you. You need to have the right support around you, as well as being very informed. And I think that was the thing for me. I'm quite a sciencey minded person. I'm quite balanced. I do enjoy sciences, and I really need to understand how something works. And as soon as I had that understanding, how I can manipulate matter, quantum reality, I was like, right, well, I know I can do it. You kind of have to understand it. You have to know it to be true. And then you can set the ball rolling. And I think self-healing will become a bigger aspect of health as we move forward, because we'll have loving community around us. We'll have fifth dimensional relationships around us. We won't have so many boxes to fit into. We won't have so many 3D parameters to meet. And it will be so much more conducive for us to just go within, and do the inner work, because that's effectively what it is when you're going through self-healing process. It's inner work, it's inner repair, but you're taking control.
It is control of the soul, control of sovereignty, control of the body, and allowing that to basically be part of your life on very much on a level of understanding that the way I see it, or the way it's been really presented to me recently, is the physical body is a gift. It's not an affliction. It's what we chose to inhabit this particular soul extension with. So whatever we do from this point onwards, it's got to be a gift to the body. If you see what I mean. Yeah. At the moment, science and spirituality are at war with each other. On a 3D level, and this it's been made that way deliberately. So you got science, prove it, okay. Then you got spirituality, I see and I feel, and the two are very different. where we're going, the two will merge together and they will be completely supportive and unified with each other. So there is a massive home for science in 5D, and there is a massive home for spirituality in 5D. And when the two merge together, you have everything that you need on a knowledge level and on a physical level to sustain the human body to the utmost, to give that body what it deserves, to give your soul what it deserves and everything. And we're so close now. Because we're evolving and because we're committing to that energy, it's becoming available.
Yeah, you can liken that to the soul and the body, can't you? Really, it's the unification of both.
Yeah.
To keep the whole unit healthy. It's not, one or the other, or one and the other. It's together. You have to bring the fragments together.
You do. All part of the puzzle.
Yeah. But that's a really nice transition, because I wanted to talk about institutions, so big educational institutions like our universities, because obviously a lot of the direction that society takes emerges from these institutions. But I also feel that this idea of specialism that has become prevalent within education, within science particularly, has come from an ego-based consciousness, and has held us back. It's held us back from, like you were saying, we've got science on one side and we've got, the arts or whatever on the other side. Where actually, if we really look into history and all of those great minds, they were all polymaths. They were people like Da Vinci, who was a great scientist, but he was also a great artist and creator. We need to bridge the gap between both hemispheres of our brain so that we can move forward. I think that's probably been the biggest setback for society, keeping the sciences, and even within the sciences, the disciplines within the sciences, also separate, so that there's no collaboration, there's no movement. And then they come together, years down the line, and they have a conversation. They're like, oh, if I only had known that, 10 years ago, I could have sorted that problem. It's kind of like that.
And I think very elitist field at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, like you see these arguments or these conversations on social media. Oh, you can't have an opinion on that. You're not a scientist. What do you know? You know what I mean? Which completely, like you could have somebody that does 10 years of research using that in the most powerful search engine that mankind has ever seen, called Google. And you can learn what the scientists learn. You might not understand quite how it is applied, but you can fill yourself with the knowledge. Then you've got somebody who's got a PhD in that field, who's only learned what they've been taught, and that curriculum has been given by somebody who's actually profiting from what they learn. And has an
agenda,
Yeah, of course it's an agenda.
Oh my gosh, it's frustrating, because, funders have such a big influence on research and the outcome of research and what's published.
Yeah.
So I'm currently within an academic institution doing PhD research, and I think I felt, if I want to progress, if I want to have my thoughts and my research heard, then having a qualification like a PhD is something that people are going to listen to. Okay, because it's like it's proof basically that I've spent 7 years of my life, really involved with my research. I've had to jump through so many hoops, do my Viva and all of this kind of stuff. And I think I'm in two minds about it. I feel that there is very much a 3D element to that, and perhaps in the future that is going to go out of the window. But I think right now, as we transition, people who are in these positions within institutions, they have such an important role to play. And it's a difficult place to be. I'm not going to lie. I am a massive weirdo. I am like a proper, I don't know, I would say outcast within an academic institution because of my beliefs and understandings of the world. However, I feel that people like me, people who are, very open-minded, people who want to see progress, are very much needed within these areas, because, you know, we will come together. I think naturally, light workers will come together because they want to collaborate and they want to move forwards. And collaboration, I feel, is the way of the heart. So instead of specialism, we will move into collaboration. So my research is interdisciplinary. So I'm working with psychologists and built environment people, philosophy, because I feel that it's the way forward if we want to progress.
I think if you look at it objectively like that, science will free itself when there is no longer money involved with that, which is the 5D version of it. So when people who are trying to control the results or will profit from the results of scientific research stand back, and the science is then free to research everything that it wishes to do so without any control of the results or manipulation of the results, then it becomes a 5D aspect. Yeah.
I just had this this little vision come in. So I'm seeing a flood basically of light infiltrating the sciences,
scientific community.
A lot of people are going to go in and question, because I think that's the problem. So many people are afraid to speak up and say, well, actually, I don't agree with this line of inquiry. You know, it doesn't stand up. And it's all based on people's careers and their egos. You know, what does the textbook say? What have I been teaching for the past 40 years? Oh, my life is a lie because I thought it was this, and actually it's that. And it's kind of breaking away from the ego. It's about the ego.
Of course it is. That's what everything is about at the moment. It's about a transition from that structure that pressurizes everything into that space, so that it can't evolve. It can only evolve as far as the masters of 3D will allow it to. Because if it evolves naturally to its higher form. So it's got to be kept within the limits of that understanding. Big changes are underway.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, so I think we'll finish on politics. Yes, I think you talk about politics. This is not my area. So
politics. Structures, political structures, governments, institutions. Oops, I used the G word, and the algorithm will probably pick up on that. At the moment, all structures around the world, all political structures, are designed to do one thing, which is maintain societal control. And these are collapsing. Okay, what we're going to see, or one of the most profound things that we will see from the transition from 3D to 5D, is the controlled demolition of controlled societies. Okay, so all of the political ticks. What do ticks do to your body? They draw. You know, the yucky creatures, aren't they? At the moment, the politics is controlling 3D. Okay, it's all about how a political structure can control the masses, and the masses are breaking free. They're deciding that they no longer wish to be completely subjugated. They want to stand in their sovereignty. They don't take orders from people that are basically just making it up as they go along. But this breakout is quite a fierce process. It's having to unleash the inner lions within people. But when that inner lion becomes free, it's a very, very fine line between anger and controlled sovereignty. Do you see what I mean? Because there's a lot of rage around the world at the moment. You look at Australia, you look at Italy, you look at the USA, you look at the UK, all of these countries that all of a sudden they're just like, hang on, this isn't about politics anymore. This isn't about our health and our safety. This is about control. Raw. And out it comes, that inner roar, that lion, and that is the surge, the moving forwards. That's what this multiple retrograde is cooking at the moment. We've got all of these planets in retrograde to cook that situation until it can no longer be sustained. So it breaks out. And so we're seeing all of these breakouts around the world. and they're rallying against the political structures that are controlling it. So all of these frameworks, all of these very solid, very controlling frameworks are beginning to disintegrate. Alchemy, energy alchemy, it's a controlled demolition, but it has to be controlled so that it doesn't tumble down too fast.
Yeah.
And we're left with, how do we survive? How do we deal with this? The whole thing is a smooth transition. And this again goes back to the Atlantean Goldprint. The framework is in place for us to move smoothly from 3D to 5D without being blasted back to the Stone Age. But so what we have to do is we have to remove these frameworks of control so that we are free to do what we need to do. And that's why people are walking out of the gates at the moment and taking the opportunities like, okay, I can no longer be part of that. It's got rid of me. It's ejected me. No, I'm no longer welcome, sort of thing. So where do I go? And move into this 5D structure where people are actually of a like mind and we're all beginning to support each other. That building process is in place, but in 5D, there will be no politics as we know it. Okay, there will be no group of super wealthy people telling everybody else what to do. That will not occur. That there is no gold print in place to support that method of control. There will be no control. People will all be singing from the same heart sheet, the same song. And so we can say goodbye to the political institutions that we are currently experiencing so much stress with. Because let's face it, what's 90% of the current stress being created by? It's being created by people in political power, applying rules, regulations.
Fear.
Yeah, fear. Cutting the resources, cutting this, cutting that, putting the squeeze on. So what do we have to do? We have to adapt and we have to survive. We have to create our own supportive communities that are away from the lack, away from the thumb screws. And this will happen very quickly. It's a gravitational movement away from that way of being. And it's got to occur. It might not look or feel comfortable, might look scary, might look like we're moving into a field with nothing to support us, but that's not the case. It's a case of building as we go along. So it's a very good point to make.
Yay, how exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my take on politics. I've never had a lot of time for it. I've never been involved with it. I've never supported it. I've never voted or done anything like that because I know the whole thing is it's an illusionary system to hand a human being, another human being, power over you for no particularly good reason apart from that you're born into a society that says, well, you must obey these people. Well, why? Why should I do that? It doesn't agree with my soul. It doesn't agree with the things that I feel are right. And that is becoming so obvious now. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody on the pathway who's awakening and moving to 5D, which is about 6 billion people on this planet, are all feeling that pull to move away.
Yay.
Yeah, good. That's a good one. That's a good note to finish on.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you for raising some amazing points this morning. They're all things that we need to be contemplating because they are on our doorstep now.
Yeah,
very much. Actually knocking at the door.
Like I think also it's nice to
here.
I think it's nice to have something that feels positive that's coming in the future.
Yeah.
So obviously at the moment
positive.
it feels
everything's positive. Yeah. It might not look it or feel it, but it is. Because we don't want that anymore. We don't want to live like that. So what do? We change it. And because it's got to the point now where it's forcing us to change, it's just like, all right, okay, I'll go then. It's fine. Pack my bags.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so I just wanted to mention community again. So for everybody out there who may have just awoken or who has been on the path for a while and you want to share and meet like-minded people, I have a Facebook group called Ascension, and it's absolutely lovely. It's full of the most beautiful souls who are all kind of stepping up and sharing their gifts. So if you feel called to come over, please do. It's a private group, so it's a really nice, gentle, safe space to share if you want to do that. I just wanted to drop that
brilliant.
in.
Thank you, Jenna.
If you want to find Tim, I'm sure everyone knows where you are. timwild.com, or you're on Facebook, Tim Wild
Practical Ascension. That's where I put out the twice weekly goodies about the sort of what's
amazing
going on. Thank you.
Also, I have a Facebook page as well as a group, and that's Jenna Boreham, Sundisc Ascension, and my website, sundiscascension.com. Had to remember that. So yeah, we are there, and part 1 and part 2 are on my YouTube channel, so you will find them in the same place that you'll find this video.
Yeah, so please check them out.
Yeah, lots of amazing topics covered.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been lovely talking to you.
It's been lovely, Tim. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
And you.
And so much love to everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.